order in the beginning. The best stuff happens before we get started.
Could I
That's true.
start it? Okay.
As soon as you come on, you should document this so we have lawsuits to settle later.
Have you done it, or we don't have to poke it off anymore here?
I do on my iPad, but I don't know about the rest of you.
Oh, it says this meeting is being recorded. Okay, I guess we're on.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, after a couple weeks ago in Kansas City, this just seemed an appropriate choice.
Yeah.
And at one of my notes, at the end of my notes, is resist trying to place us as the characters.
I wouldn't even try.
I get to be Nick.
Well, for several of us, it's a task to go through there and say that's not, or that's not. Anyway, resist that. The characters are broad enough. They represent a lot of people.
The reason I tuned in tonight is I wanted to see Jeff Arthur's response to all of this.
Yeah.
Since he missed it by a generation.
Right.
Yeah, I'd never seen the movie before, believe it or not.
Shut up.
Neither had I.
Neither had Chris.
I haven't seen it before.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Really? Yes.
How could you
Karen,
not do
you
that?
should be Karen.
No. No, I'm Nick.
Kidding.
I get to be Nick.
Kidding.
I want to be JT Lancer.
He was so
Don't jump in the car.
He has
Yeah, I
good
won't.
genes. Yeah, he's got good genes. He
Yeah.
puts down his pants. You're like, oh, damn.
I know. Okay.
How'd you get into University of Michigan?
Well, the Big Chill was written and directed by Lawrence Kasdan. It was released September 28th of 1983. Kasdan attended Michigan. Go figure. He co-wrote The Empire Strikes Back and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And Body Heat.
And Body Heat. This was his second movie as a director. The first one was Body Heat. Box office on this was 56 million on a budget of 8 million. And I have a question for all of you. This is often compared and said that it was stolen from The Return of the Secaucus 7. Has anybody seen that?
No, but I read that. Yeah.
I did, but I can't remember. I hate to say this. I can't remember it.
I've not seen it, and it's not got the cast that this one obviously does. These guys are all at their peak. I mean,
Right.
they did great work in it. So anyway, 56 million on 8 million, very successful movie. Alex was never in the movie. He was intended to be in the movie at the end, but it was Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
Right.
You probably knew.
That's a great trivia question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the corpse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
His
you never
last leg.
saw the face of the corpse. You saw his arms and
His
everything
hair.
else.
How is he going to come in at the end?
Huh?
How
Is
is
it
he
gonna
going
be
to
a
come in at the
flashback?
end?
There
was
was
supposed to
there
be
was
a-
supposed to be they met at another house. It was actually the house that was filmed in Atlanta, and there was 10 minutes extra movie, and it was cut. They said it didn't work.
Wouldn't you love to see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The flashback kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably YouTube somewhere.
I'll look.
So I was watching this last night, and then I came upstairs and watched the new episode of Yellowstone.
Oh
I don't know
yeah.
if anybody else watched that. Spoiler
Yeah.
alert, but Kevin Costner gets killed in that right away too. So
Oh,
it was like a double Costner death.
Yeah. That was, Jeff. I
Oh,
agree with
dear.
you.
Well, what I got is that after seeing Kevin Kline in this and then seeing Kevin Kline in Disclaimer, oh, that's
Oh,
scary.
yeah.
Oh, God, that's scary. It's like, did all of us, is that what we look like now? Oh, my gosh. Anyway.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes, Donna. The cinematography includes a lot of sunset shots and early morning fog shots.
Mhm.
That's a visual narration for the character's state of mind. I took from somebody, but I can see that. Questions about the Harold and Nick quandary. Harold loved the 60s, the music, the getting a piece of ground. But also living in the current world for Harold. Nick didn't give any quarter, his current correctness, but unable to define himself. Nick's, of course, the interesting character in the movie. I thought. Ebert said the movie has all the right moves, but doesn't lead anywhere.
Mhm.
Wasn't sure if it was a weakness of the movie or the movie's message. Ooh.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I rarely disagree with Roger, but I thought it was the message. Go ahead.
Award-wise, it was nominated for Best Picture, nominated for Best Actress and Actor in a Supporting Role, Glenn Close, nominee for Best Writing Screenplay written directly for the screen, Lawrence Kasdan and Barbara Benedict. Those are all nominations. It won the Writers Guild of America Best Comedy written directly for the screen for those two. My big question is, what does the title mean?
When you're dead, that's the big
Is
chill.
it about death? Is it about
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
you're hot
No.
when you're young and you're
Yeah.
cold when you're old?
Yeah, when they all got to their 30s.
The concept of
so
lost
different.
dreams and realities of adulthood.
Maybe.
So what does the name, the title of the movie refer to? That's, to me, one of the big questions. I mean, culturally, The Big Chill was right in time with the 80s looking back at the 60s or the 70s, early 70s. But what's it mean? What's it mean to you guys? Not Jeff. Arthur.
Well, why not?
Too.
You tell Jeff Arthur.
So anyway, I really enjoyed re-seeing it. I hadn't seen it in a number of years. And it was a major movie of our younger years. It was a big deal. It was Rosemary Bass. It was a whole bunch of things for those of us involved in that. But
Well, we start with
Well, when
Jeff.
it came out, we were about that age of
yeah,
what
absolutely.
the characters were. So it was easy to
Mhm.
identify with them because they were
Absolutely.
like 10 years out of school. We were sort of 10 years out of school, and
Right.
it was right there for us.
Yep.
I loved it. The music was fantastic. I love that comment. There's been a lot of good songs since the 60s or whatever it was, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was another critic question about all the black music and the whiteness of the cast. But I tended to overlook that. And
Motown was huge then.
Yeah.
Of course,
I
there was a
know.
lot
I
of that
love
music.
Motown.
we
Oh,
lived it. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know that Ain't Too Proud to Beg played all the time, but the Rolling Stones was certainly a hit.
Mhm.
As
Yeah,
part
but the
of the
Temps,
movie.
My Girl,
I think they
Mhm.
used the
Happy's
music
Clown.
well too, just for what was happening in the movie. There's certain songs like,
Yeah.
Bastion Rising,
oh,
when
it was
things were getting-
perfect.
I love Quicksilver Girl by Steve Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heard It Through the Grapevine was in there.
Yeah.
And it was perfect because Heard It Through the Grapevine, and then they shot all of them hearing that Alex died. And so they're all hearing it from the grapevine that, he's dying. And that's how you get introduced to all those characters in the, those opening scenes. I thought the music and the connections to every scene was phenomenal, on top of the music being so good on its own. But then connecting to all those scenes, I thought it was great.
I read, and maybe you guys did too, that the Ain't Too Proud to Beg was the kitchen scene, and that they practiced or got ready for it wearing headphones so they would get the movement and the timing.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
that was a fun scene. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
They were all kind of down in the doldrums and sad, and that music came on, and boy, they were dancing in the kitchen and the dining room and all over the place and having a good
Yeah.
time. All of a sudden, everything was upbeat. So
That's what music does. And that's
It
what,
does.
connects them too,
And one of my favorite lines in the movie is Jeff Goldblum saying, "Are we the first ones up?"
Yeah. And then in this scene, he said, that's the problem with these things. You have to watch them all
Watch
the
them all
time.
the time. I have to watch them all the time. Yeah.
he had some great lines. He was so funny.
Well,
Yeah.
the
Yeah, well,
banter throughout the movie, the banter was really, really good.
that's Kasdan. Yeah.
And yeah, he's a great writer. And I agree with one asterisk about this being a stellar cast and, just a really great ensemble movie. I don't think Meg Tilly can hack her way out of a fucking paper bag. That is the worst. That the one where she's supposed to laugh. And you're just like, oh my God. Who cast you?
But she was supposed to be like this young, naive, sort of goofy girl.
Yeah.
She
Just,
was like,
and she was certainly that, and so flexible.
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I suspect she did get cast in that movie. But
Yeah, but you are absolutely right. I think that's exactly because all of them had a connection. It's like you guys are, they all had a connection. They knew their sense of humor. They knew the repartee that could go on between them. And then this one that doesn't get it, that she's dumb as a rock. She doesn't get it. And that line about her, but she doesn't think about the past like all of the rest of the kids did. All that, I thought it was kind of perfect. What got me is, so Alex was such a great guy. What was he doing with her? That's what it's like, huh? But and maybe because she was so naive, I don't know.
Beaufort's a small town.
Is it Beaufort or Beaufort? Yeah.
Nick ended up,
Either way, it's still a small town.
Yeah.
Joan wants to move there.
Oh no.
It's a beautiful
Because of
place.
that.
Which one? Beaufort or
Beaufort.
Beaufort?
Beaufort.
You gonna buy the house for her?
No. Maybe
Come on, we
It's
want
a
to have a party.
plantation.
We're all coming down. We're gonna have a party at your house.
We'll have
not
a
all,
party.
not all year, just a couple weeks. Yeah.
You can tour the house. I read that there
Yeah,
are
right.
big chill tours.
She did.
The Kasdan connection to music, I understood, was he relegated the music choice to his wife. So she was responsible for all of that music choice. And then they blended it into the plot, which that's kind of a cool thing too.
Well done. Yeah.
I thought it was done so well. I actually wrote it down because it was like where did I write it though? Oh yeah. So he starts out with Joy to the World with the little boy, ends up with Joy to the World at the end. I like that it kind of connected that it's life and death and the world goes on. Bad Moon Rising, well, as you had said, Karen, When a Man Loves a Woman, and that's the scene where Sarah thinks that Harold is gonna do Meg her favor.
Thanks for
that
finishing
was-
that sentence.
that really,
Yeah.
Pardon me?
I thought you were
couldn't
going to
use
stop
the car.
there.
She got to break on a really good used car.
Yeah, that was great. But it was a good used car. Hey.
It is a good used car. Yeah. But you did get it right. It was, again, one of the Lawrence Kasdan, one of those great lines.
Yeah, but the best thing about this, I think, was the ensemble. The ensemble acting was so good that you really believed that they were all friends for years. And when you have friends like that, like you guys, you don't see each other for years, and as soon as you get back together, it's like you hadn't left. It's like you're right back there. So, what was there was another one. Meg. Oh yeah, then when Meg with them, you make me feel like a natural woman. That also was that scene. So I just thought the way they connected the music to the scenes, to the people, loved it. I also like that scene where at the very beginning, when you're starting to get to, they're all unpacking and they all unpack a hairdryer. I mean, it was, I guess hair was pretty big in the 80s. Now
Literally.
Yeah, literally, yes. And everyone pulled out a hairdryer, and I was just going, another.
A lot of them unpack birth control devices too.
Oh yes, and birth control.
Right.
Mike did.
Right. Yes,
right,
well, yeah. And
then that line about why is my husband so faithful to me? Fear of herpes.
yeah.
Perfect characterization of that guy.
Yeah.
Richard.
Yeah, Richard.
Yeah.
He was prototypic.
Well, Jeff, we got to hear your take on it.
Yeah, Jeff.
I liked it. Especially the music. It was awesome.
Oh, good.
I think, it was, I remember it being a big deal back when it came out. I was kind of in between high school and college at the time, I think it came out. And I don't know, I think I was probably more into, action kind of movies than everybody sitting around and talking. That's probably what I thought it was about. But I liked it a lot.
It came out, and I can look at 3 or 4 of you and say it came out right when we'd had our first kid.
Interesting.
And just that
Jeff,
influence
do you relate to the movie as it relates to your friends and your stage of life?
Who did you ask?
To
Jeff
Jeff
Arthur.
with G. Do you relate to your friends and with this movie and your stage of life?
I don't, from that period of time, I don't have that big a group of friends like you guys. I have individual friends that maybe don't even connect to each other, but, from both high school and college, but I'm not sure I'd have to think about it, but I don't think they connect to each other. And I don't really see too many of them very often.
Mm.
I mean, on Facebook I do, but not like in person. It's been a long time.
Gary.
I don't live in the same place I did back then either. But
I have a question for Gary. Gary, do you remember many of the folks in our group, including Sanders, and getting together at your place in Glendale? Not the one that was the closer to Manchester, that house.
Yeah.
And Randy and his, at that point, wife, Carol, were there. And Carol told all of us, "Oh, you guys are just like the Big Chill."
I don't remember that.
For whatever reason, it stuck with me. I do remember it. And here's the interesting thing. I just heard from Carol. Randy's moving back to St. Louis.
Really?
Yeah.
From California?
Yeah.
Randy Thompson?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in California. What's the name of the town, Karen? You remember? It's near the Hearst Castle.
Yeah. I can't think of the
San
name.
Luis Obispo.
Well, no, it's a smaller town than that.
Oh, but yeah.
Santa Cruz?
Smaller.
Morro Bay.
I'll come up with it before the hour is over. I promise.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't think I'm going to remember. But anyway, passing that along.
Wow.
Carol was the first. You guys are just like the Big Chill.
I take that as kind of a compliment.
It was what it was. But it was sort of like it came out of, Carol was not the most insightful person. Love her, but yeah. Anyway, it was kind of a surprise. So I had a question, since Mike had a question too. So when at the end of the funeral, when Karen plays on the organ, you won, and then it transitions into the actual Rolling Stone song. So do any of you have a song that you want like that? Not like, a hymn, but a song that you want sort of your exunt, shall we say, at your funeral to be?
Wow.
Well, I heard one yesterday, and Joan and I talk about this all the time. Joan has a whole playlist ready to go for hers. But there's a song I think Warren Zevon wrote when he knew he was dying, called something like
Keep Me in Your Heart for a while.
Keep Me in Your Heart for a while. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Awesome song.
Yeah. So that would be one. Jones is I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places.
I'll be seeing you. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be looking at the moon, but
I'll be thinking of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got a whole playlist laid out for me.
I like Leslie West Mountain, Mississippi Queen.
Okay, all right.
More cowbell. Well, I have to say that I watched this movie with two mindsets. I think the first time I saw it, when it first came out, I think I appreciated the music and the connection and how it advanced the story. But the second time I watched it, I think I'm with Alex. I'm ready to commit suicide. The idealistic point where they started from, and the fact that when I watched it the second time, I thought they were all a bunch of self-absorbed, self-centered. I didn't like any of them. In the first passing, I probably tried to figure out who's who in our group. And the second time, I didn't want to be any of them. And I realized what has changed is in the beginning, 40 years ago, or however many years ago, I was the revolutionary connected to everybody else who was anti-war, anti-government, pro-civil rights, pro this. And now I have become the conservative who respects the military, respects the FBI, respects the Department of Justice, wants certain guardrails in place. And there are people claiming to be conservative who are trying to destroy all. I have changed from being the radical tear it all down to being the can we please stop the people who are trying to tear it all down. And I watched this movie through that lens and realized that those of us, that I went through that period with, we didn't change the world.
Right.
At least we didn't change the world the way we thought, and we thought we could make things better, and we have handed it over to people who I think can only make things worse. It was I thought it was a great movie pick for the time we're in, but I saw it from the other side, and I am almost with Alex. I'm almost ready to check out. I don't want to deal with this.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Well,
We're keeping an eye on you.
I'll hang in there,
really.
Gary.
I think 1-800.
Do we need an intervention here?
You
My
can call
answer to
us.
that is not try to save the world, but to try to just be a little better myself, to my kids, to my grandkids, to the people but to try to figure out how to change the world on a large scale, I give up. I give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sort of reminds me of the line back. God, I don't know, maybe it's been more than a year now. But anyway, in the near recent past, when we watched the movie Easy Rider, and towards the end of that, Captain America, and this is 1968, much less 1983, where he says we blew it, and people wondered then, well, what did he mean by blowing it? And it goes back to, links up with what Whit just said in terms of, you know, that generation set out to change the world in a lot of different respects. There have been substantial changes made, but not the kind that the people of that era, including us, envisioned would stick. And you know, so when people say, you know, I don't think absolutely correctly that we blew it, or that the boomer generation didn't accomplish much except for selfish goals. I don't think that's entirely right, but I also understand it. So,
see, I think, wow, that's interesting that I think that you guys think that way. When I think about the 60s, I think there was so much done. There was, you know, civil rights, women.
Oh yeah, things are going so well for women right now.
Pardon me?
I said things are going so well for women right now.
That's what I mean. It started out really well, and but look at it this way. Maybe there is a huge balance, because I was thinking about this. 50 years ago, a crook gets kicked out of the White House, and 50 years later, a crook gets elected into the White House. So I guess there's some balance. But you know, when I think of these people, I don't dislike any of them. I just I think I understand. I mean, it's like you're in a world where you want some things, but in order to just get around in the world, you got to make money. And we're in that kind of a society. I mean, every one of them
got to sell some shoes.
Yeah, but every one of them had a crutch. I mean, had like a coping mechanism, whether it was drinking, or whether it was womenizing, or whether it was making money, or whether, you know, all of them, whether it was exercise or whatever, all of them seem to have a way to cope with things and just to get through, you know. Now, obviously, I didn't like Michael, you know, Jeff Goldblum, you know, because I loved him in his snarky remarks, but him as a character, I did not like.
When he was trying to tell the guy at People magazine he was going to stay because of, you know, story Lost Hope, and he was, yeah, if it was the Lost Hope diet, you'd be on board.
Yeah, Lost Hope. It's true. It's so true.
Yeah.
That's People magazine. Yeah. I mean, there were so many things in there that when Harold, you know, breaks the SEC rules because he's trying to help his friend Nick get out of the drug deal, you know, being a drug dealer, and get into something else, hopefully legitimate. I mean, there just seemed to me that they still all cared. They didn't have the same gung-ho that we all did when we were younger, but I think it's you know, it's the dreams, aspirations, and then the disappointments that get us.
Maybe that's why when I watched it the second time, I didn't like any of them, because I identified too much with them.
Oh,
You know?
Well, that's it. You know, I looked at Meg, and you know, she's a defense attorney thinking that she's going to, you know, her clients are going to be the, you know, Bobby Seale and Huey Newton. And instead she gets, you know, the horrible people, and then she turns around and makes the money in real estate. I mean, it's like,
yeah. Well, as a magazine publisher, I can tell you the Lost Hope diet would work.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, that's right.
A page turner.
Do we work on
That's
this?
right.
Yeah. So I had read a review where they talked about this being kind of the quintessential boomer movie. And the big question that the writer was like, you know, did they lose their commitment to their kind of, you know, their youthful principles because they fell out of touch with each other, which is what kind of Sam, I think, in that last scene talks about. Or was it just the opposite? They fell out of touch with each other because they had, you know, sort of lost that commitment. So I mean, I thought that was a pretty, you know, they wanted a safer, a more comfortable existence, and they all were able to, because they were well educated and, you know,
right,
a doctor and a business owner, and, you know, even a psychologist, not a very successful one, but
yeah.
Well, even Alex.
Let me ask you guys a
Alex
question.
too.
You guys that have known each other for a long time, before Facebook came along and before cell phones, how did you guys keep in contact? Did you write letters to each other?
It's like,
Hello.
No,
he
Telephone-
had
telephone calls.
telephone and writing.
Phone-
There was things called
Yeah.
letters.
phone
That's
That's what
calls.
I'm asking. How was it done?
Well, I
Phone
think
call.
we live close to each other, you know,
Yeah.
maybe in groups. We're kind of, a few of us were clustered here in Kansas City, you know, few of us were living in St. Louis, so we'd see each other pretty often.
And
Just
there was the
around
Bass,
town?
the Rosemary Bass reunions, where
Reunions, yeah.
even if we were not connected for 3 or 4 years, we would get together and reconnect pretty quickly.
Right. We
Yeah.
had.
Well, I just
reunions.
remember myself and my friends, we'd move all the time and, we would have different phone numbers and I wouldn't know how to reach them sometimes. but-
But mostly it's MySpace. We still do a lot of MySpace.
But, and,
That's right.
and honestly too, it was a lot of Mike Sanders of kind of keeping us all together. And,
Well, you know what?
he would
when
reach
I-
out to,
Well, and-
Bob and me and,
Bob, I mean,
yeah.
I can't remember how many times that we ended up in St. Louis or whether it was Sanders or Bob, but here we are playing bottle caps and it's been 3 or 4 or 5 years. And then we end up at Sanders' house in Pleasant Hill and
Yep.
we end up with Bob in North County on the river.
Oh,
And
yeah, that's right. Yeah. His
we
brother's place. Yeah.
yeah.
So it was a couple of people who just kind of took that job, or
Yeah.
not job, but they just did.
That's
But-
just who they were. Yeah.
But
They
Jeff,
were.
I can tell you that even a guy like Mike Rourke, who is at Mike's Celebration of Life,
Mhm.
I don't think anybody's seen him in 10 years, maybe 20 years. And we could have
Except
had,
Sanders.
it would have been like no time had passed.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
that's what happens when you're connected so well. When I first watched this, and I got so well. Again, Mike Sanders, and as Gary had said, that he was the connector. He was like the connector. Even the first time I was with you guys, I remember thinking he made me feel so connected. And then so to have Mike gone, and then to have Kamala lose, it was all a big nightmare. Not a nightmare, but it was just a emotional, I guess. To have those things happening after seeing this movie, I could see how all you guys are, that you know each other and you can, and it was just kind of sad that Mike's gone and Kamala lost, and I don't know, it was just, and it was all just connected here. And for me, it was connected with this movie too, how that loss of or disappointment, just disappointment, I guess.
Well,
what's
and
happening.
unfortunately, you didn't get to know Bob.
I know. I
who was the
me
other
telling me
connector.
about him, and
Yeah.
it sounded like he was so clever. That's
He
what
was.
I remember thinking, is that this guy is so clever, because I think you sent me some of his work.
Yeah. Well, his
And-
emails to all of us as follow-up.
Yeah, his follow-up, yes. And he
And
was just
there
so
was
clever.
never a Zoom meeting that I didn't learn something from him. And I think you may have filled his seat, and you have been a great contributor to this, but I'm sorry that you missed him.
Yeah, I am too. I
'Cause
too.
I
'Cause I
look
had heard
forward
so
to the
much.
minutes of the meeting more than the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's kind of how I felt when I read them. I went, oh my God, this guy was so clever and such a good writer and everything.
He's
Yeah,
a brilliant
was sorry.
historian too.
Yeah,
He could add historical perspective to
Yes.
all kinds of things,
he
which was
was
just amazing.
he was
Yeah.
a linguist. He was a
And you
historian.
find out that the movie had some sort of historical Irish history. What? Shakespeare.
Yeah.
He connected dots that we didn't even know needed to be connected. But he also connected people in ways that we benefited from.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
Bill, what'd
certainly
you
Mike
think?
did. Yeah. And you
And
know,
Bob
when
didn't even go to Mizzou. He was just like, I think I said to somebody, he was like
just
in
horny
Animal
showing
House,
up for
he was like
Karen, that's
D-Day.
all,
The
that's all.
guy
He
that,
was-
you know, you're not even enrolled here. But everybody knew him, you know.
I
yeah,
could have sworn he had a student ID number.
that's so
He
funny.
probably had a
Fake
Yeah.
student ID.
Karen
Well, you
probably
know-
got him a fake ID to get into the concerts.
and now you guys know that I wasn't Karen number 1. I was Karen number 2.
Right.
When Bob
Right.
first started coming to Mizzou, there was the other Karen who was
Oh,
his girlfriend. Yeah.
Oh, no, I
She
wouldn't
was
know that. Oh.
beautiful.
She's in the
She
pyramid
was
picture.
not as tall as me, but tall, blonde, dumb as a bag of hair, and
Come on.
How do you
Clearly.
really feel? Karen?
I befriended her, and she had no idea my motives. Hard. That's the little part.
Well,
were
you
you
know
on,
what?
were you
but-
on MySpace with her?
No, it was not. She was Jeff. She was on our concert committee.
Committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I let AI define the big chill.
Mhm.
It's a variant of the colloquial term big freeze, which means the best death of the universe.
Hmm.
Thank you, AI.
And that's kind of that. I mean, we're talking about the different things. I mean,
Yeah.
the best death
Yeah.
of the universe.
What'd you think
Of
of
the
the movie, Bill?
universe.
Bill, what was your take? Had you seen it before?
You know, 1983, I don't think I'd ever seen it all the way through. I mean,
Really?
I think I just was like part of the conversation, you know. Big Chill, it's a great movie. But I don't really recall watching it all the way through. I don't remember what happened or anything like that.
Nothing happened.
But you saw, did you see it recently, Bill?
Yeah, I saw it this week.
Oh, okay.
Now, I watched it a little bit today too. I thought when I watched it the first time, I was thinking it was kind of complicated. I was trying to figure out where all these guys were from, you know, like all these characters, you know, like I never really did figure out where Nick was from, you know, like what did he do? And as we're talking about it, I was sitting there thinking, you know, did we really like these characters? I mean, Nick, well, what if I did like him? Why did I like him? I didn't like the Jeff Goldberg character too much, really. Either I didn't mind him, but I didn't like him particularly. I like Kevin Kline and his wife,
Glenn Close.
Yeah, Glenn Close. But I mean, the other characters, I don't know.
I think Glenn Close was the one that kept the whole group together, or her and Harold, you know.
And like, why did
Mhm.
Nick end up with, was it Meg Tilly? Why did he end up with
Chloe.
With
Chloe?
Chloe.
Why did he end up with Chloe? I mean, they said they congratulated him at the end that he was going to stay on, but I mean, why? What
Who knows?
was going on there? I mean, was it like
Well,
Nothing. Nothing was going
I think he was cured.
yeah, I don't know if he was cured, but it seemed like she didn't care too much. I mean, about that. She just
And-
wanted
Yeah, I
to
think
be
that
with
was
somebody.
part of the appeal. And she was just kind of a soul at peace. She didn't, like Karen said, she didn't have a lot going on upstairs, but
Right.
she was very much tuned in to peace, and she kind of got him. You know,
Yeah.
she told him the story about how he helped her when she was a
Right.
teenager and troubled, and I think that meant something to him. And I think he took life as kind of being, you know, don't get all over yourself about this. This is not so important. When he was sitting watching TV, he said, I just like to sit here and let the art flow over me. And it was, you know, and he was
Yeah.
watching the Godzilla movie and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
guys, this is, you know, chill, or not to say chill, I guess, but
Yeah.
it was just kind of,
Well, he
Don't
had
take
given
this
up
too
pretty
seriously.
much, I think.
what was
You know.
the newspaper article that Nick was trying to find?
Alex-
Or,
That
Alex
Michael
had-
had written.
aren't they?
Oh, he
Alex
wrote-
had given up a residency or it was something that he
Fellowship.
gave up.
Fellowship.
A fellowship,
Foundation
that's right.
grant.
Weren't they
of
trying to
fellowship.
figure out what was so bad that he committed suicide, or was it just a reflection on his life? Or wasn't that a part of the newspaper clip? Wasn't that why he was going after it?
I don't think that's ever
Yeah.
answered in the movie as why, but there's could be lots of possibilities.
Yeah, that article was from like 12 years ago or something. It wasn't a new article.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Tom Berenger, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I thought all these people played their roles real well. But I thought, what was so likable about Tom Berenger either, he was like, he's kind of a cocky,
It's cute.
I'm sure
Kind
he
of a
likes
shallow
Yeah.
man.
Well,
Yeah,
he
Joe.
went to Mizzou, Bill. That's why.
He's sort of
He and
like
Kevin Kline
he's sort
are
of like
both from
Mahoney,
Missouri.
just a matinee idol on TV, and that's
That's
why
right.
people.
And it's rough being a matinee idol. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Mattson jump into a convertible from a live stand?
Oh yeah, he's
A
done
work
it.
of art.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
He likes to parachute in.
Yeah. I got such a kick out of him retrying that. That was
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he never did it in the first place. It had to have been a stunt.
no.
Go
He
ahead.
never, he never did it.
All TV land.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wires. Yeah.
So Jeff, that scene you refer to where, he's like, just let art flow over, you got to flow over you. When he's first telling Sam, what's going on. I think the guy in the
Guy in
hat
the
did
hat.
something wrong. And then he showed, and everybody got
Everyone
up for
has a hat. Yeah, that was great. That was great.
I almost
know,
used that
just
as my background today, was that scene of the guy busting in with all the hats.
Yeah. Yeah. That was great. There's so much of it,
So
the little
political.
stuff that was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I thought
offhanded
it was-
comments were great.
I thought it was really well written.
Yeah.
That
Lawrence
scene where
Kasdan
Jeff,
is so good,
Jeff Goldblum
Yeah.
goes down, he's trying to approach Chloe, and she opens the door. It's like, thanks, wham.
Yeah, and
he's
she's in her
standing
underwear.
there like,
Yeah.
what
Or
do I
like this-
do?
Or like the scene behind you. He goes, you got to keep an eye
Yeah.
on them. You never know. They're going to
You
move.
can't take your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. I really liked them. I think one of them said it, and I don't remember who, but I think they said they were better when they were together.
Yeah.
And I think that's what connected
Mhm.
them too, was that when they got together, all of a sudden that optimism came back, instead of being down, a lot of the optimism, because the music reminded them their friendship that they had, that they were all together. But I thought Glenn Close she was really the one that, her coping mechanism, I think, was that she left. As soon as they started talking about Alex, she was tired. She always had to be tired. And she was just, as soon as they started talking, she would just leave and not even talk about it. But then when she got into the shower, of course, then she just broke down. So all of it, it's one of my favorites, obviously.
Mahoney, what did you think?
Huh?
What did you think of the movie?
I remember seeing this back when it first came out, and the way I interpreted it then and the way I interpret it now, 40 years later, is radically different. Back then, I remember being warmed by the strength of their friendship, and how the music brought the movie together. This time I'm looking at it, and I'm seeing 1983 yuppies trying to get on with their lives, some successfully, some without, and not finding any sort of unifying message with the movie. So the second time around, I don't know, I'm sure I've seen this before since it was in the theaters. This time around, the movie doesn't leave me with any sort of positive message. It's very well constructed. The acting's really, really good, but it's a message of emptiness that I'm left with. Things. Even though for some of these people, life seems to be working out reasonably well, they're all pretty empty folks. So,
But is that the message?
I don't think there is a message. That's the message.
Like a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
Like life.
All about
Yeah.
nothing.
It's a story
No,
about
exactly.
nothing.
No.
Yeah.
It would be an interesting exercise to write a screenplay of these people getting together again at our age
Oh my
and
God.
seeing how things had turned out for them.
The old chill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, William Hurt has passed, so that
Yeah, that's
else is
right.
still alive, but William Hurt is not.
Yeah.
Well,
I used to have hair
I go
like
back
that in
to
83.
what was the director trying to accomplish, and what I came away with, 40, like Mahoney, 40 years later, he was trying to accomplish that this all ended very empty, and the only thing they had was some fond memories and trying to reconnect, but they were so scattered, it didn't really have like a unifying what's next. They just all kind of went home.
But that's
Well,
what he was
except
trying
that,
to
Nick
convey.
stayed, and then if things worked out, Meg would be connected forever to Harold and Sarah, if because she would have Harold's child. So
There's
in a
our
sense,
sequel.
so in a sense, there were some new connections that were made.
Yeah.
Right.
But I like your idea of, so what would it look like, 40 years down the road?
Interesting.
The big
Yeah,
hip
it is
replacement
interesting.
would be the title.
Yeah.
The movie no one would go see.
Well, only if we could sit on our couches and watch it. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I
job.
brought a bit of
Humor.
Well,
all of it back.
It's a great reflection.
Yeah, Mattson, in light of the circumstances surrounding us, I thought it was an appropriate choice. So
Good time. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Plus,
was.
Joan had just been in Beaufort and gone to the Big Chill house, and then we went to Savannah and went on a walking tour of Forrest Gump, which has another great soundtrack and sort of tracks our lives and the events that occurred and everything. So the two of them were a great match if you're going to go to Savannah or Beaufort.
Did you go to Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we went to the Mercer house, but apparently some obelisk or something that exists in the cemetery has been moved. I have not read the book or seen the movie, but I know about the folklore around it. But it's been so visited that it's been moved because it's, now it's in a museum and not in the cemetery anymore.
Keeps
And
people from trampling the graves.
Forrest Gump bench and
I visited that park one time and some guy was dressed up like Forrest Gump. So the thing was you would sit with him on the bench that he supposedly sat on for the movie and then have your photo taken. Of course, leave him a few bucks for that. But I don't know if they still allow it. It wasn't in Forsyth Park. It was in one of the other ones, one of the squares. There's 9 squares.
Yeah.
For an extra $1, he'll let you hold his iguana.
Excuse me?
You're my favorite schnauzer, Jeff. You're my favorite schnauzer.
Who's next?
Me. I'm next.
Oh, good.
Am I after you? I'm going alphabetically.
No, Karen is,
me.
and then you.
Okay.
You follow Karen now.
All
So
right.
yeah, we don't have.
I always followed a Walsh.
That's right.
Yeah.
There you go. We don't have to pack up too much for this next trip because we're not going to go that far away. But I thought I'd pick something maybe a little lighthearted in lieu of the fact of everything that went on this past week. And you can call it comedy in a couple of different ways, however you want to perceive it. But this movie was made in 1973, but it takes place in the Depression era, 1930s, in the states of Kansas, and Missouri. And our movie is Paper Moon.
Oh, Paper Moon.
I won my $200. $200.
Yeah,
Ryan
so good.
O'Neal?
Ryan and Tatum O'Neal. Madeline Kahn is
Yeah.
in it, and she is just hilarious as always. So, and it's short. It's not all that long. The other one I was going to pick for you was almost 3 hours. So be grateful I changed my mind. Although I could come back to that, but it's free on Pluto, and it's also available on Apple and Amazon for like $3.99 or $4.29, whichever one you choose. So, yep,
Sounds good.
Paper Moon,
Good
Peter
one.
Bogdanovich.
I have a movie to recommend, and I have a movie to steer you away from. I don't know where it popped up on Netflix last night. There's a movie. Imagine this: Bill Murray, Bradley Cooper, Emma Stone, Alec Baldwin, and it's called Aloha. Have you ever seen Aloha?
No.
No, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's awful.
Oh, okay, well, we won't worry about it.
Got an all-star cast, and it is awful. But there is another one that was a real I thought was worth it, called Woman of the Hour, and it's Anna Kendrick, and she plays a woman who ended up on the dating game.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah. It was based on a
Serial
true
killer.
story. Yeah.
It's well written, very tense, very tight, and it's only like an hour and a half. So, have you watched it, Karen?
I have not. No, I've seen, clips and all, but I haven't watched the movie yet.
Yeah, very well done.
I've got
I'd
one.
like to see it.
And maybe you guys have seen this, but The Boys in the Boat.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a good movie,
It's
1936.
really
University of Washington rowing crew team.
Yep.
There's also a documentary on it too. It's really good.
It's historical to whatever degree it is, but and it's not a cast of people you know, but and apparently Luann read the book and she said, you guys need to look at this. So apparently the book is really good.
It is very good. I read the book too. It's really good. Yeah.
So Boys in the Boat, it's on Prime.
Good. I concur.
I think that
Good-
might want an Academy
view.
Award. Boys,
Huh?
I think Boys in the Boat might have won an Academy Award.
I'm not sure. George Clooney directed it. It just came out last year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody watch something called Stutz?
What's it called?
Stutz.
Studs?
My
That's a porn movie, isn't it?
no, it's no, it's like Stutz Bearcat.
Oh, Stutz. I thought you said studs.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. I've got rocks in my mouth. I haven't seen it, but my office nurse has recommended it to me, and I don't have no idea what it's about, but I wondered if anybody else had seen it.
Where's it at? Yeah,
Not sure. I think it's on Netflix, maybe.
Do you have any idea what it's about?
No? That's why I'm asking.
That's a strong recommendation, Jeff.
Yeah.
I'm not really recommending it, I'm inquiring,
He's
you know?
soliciting opinions.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Has anybody heard?
Hey, Bill, is that
Well,
background behind
I'll bring a
you, is that
report
that
back
from the
next
movie?
week.
Okay.
What'd you say, Jeff Arthur?
I was wondering if Bill's background, is that from the movie?
No, this is like today's Veterans Day. So I did a picture of my dad.
Oh, that's your dad.
My dad,
How cool.
he's coming out of a bar in Munich at the conclusion of World War II.
Oh,
That's a great picture.
wow.
That's
So-
Was he in the
awesome.
bar for the duration?
What?
Was he in the bar for the duration of the war?
Like he knows how to handle a
I
stein.
know he would.
The size of that glass.
Yeah.
He's actually, Mahoney, he's written a fairly long treatise about his years in the war.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's online. I can send it. I'll send
Really?
it. I'll send it in the
Okay.
letter. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah,
It's really interesting.
it's like it's a lot like Boys in the Band. He was like one of the first guys to Dachau.
Oh.
Wow.
He was a lieutenant. But anyway, they made it down there to Munich, and he's just celebrating.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
he was pretty good at drinking beer, Mike. That's
I got it. I got it now. Yeah.
where I got it. That's
Caused his hair to blow back like that.
yeah.
It's like a movie star. That looks
Yeah,
like
he
it's from
does.
a movie.
Yeah.
Does, yeah, that's great.
I'm
Great
sure he's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Looks like Clint Eastwood.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's where I get that too.
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry.
Well, you should comb
Good
your
one.
hair back more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Put it back.
Get a beer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get a beer.
Yeah.
Oh, the other way.
Oh, Lord.
There
You
you
guys
go.
me up.
It was a big day.
It's great to see you all.
Yeah, same here.
Jeff,
You
Mike,
as well.
good pick, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
pick.
Well
Mike.
done.
Really
Well done.
good.
Yeah,
Loved
thank
it.
you.
It's good to see you. I appreciate the fact that your pick was so wrong that she was going to win the Electoral College and lose the popular vote. But hey, we'll forgive you.
Yeah.
Wish we didn't have to.
I just I want to
Wasn't
watch
the only one that was wrong.
what?
Wasn't the only one that was wrong.
That's
We
right.
all were wrong. We were all wrong. Boy.
All right.
All
All
right.
right.
Guys, see ya.
See you next
Bye, all.
week.
Take
See you
care.
next week.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.